Yeah, but that'll have them even more ready. So I know what Craig's like. So that will be certainly a big part of their preparation. But look, you know, we have to go and perform again.
Is it heartening the form of Josh McCarley?
Yeah, he was good. He wanted to stay out there for longer, but I couldn't keep sucking the petrol dry out of him. It's not the time of the year to be doing that for him. Excuse me. It's a disappointing way to finish, but we got to own that performance. We had a football team out there today good enough to win that game, but I believe that some of our play was waiting for it to be handed to us. So we've got to own it, learn from it, and now we start the next part of our competition.
We've got 2 injuries out of that. We've got Michael Oldfield with the shoulder and got Corey Horsburgh with the calf.
Now Corey, we'll wait and see how Corey is over the next couple of days. Oldie, though, it doesn't look good for Mick.
How big a blow is that? I mean, you obviously got the guys coming back, but he sort of always provided that depth. And
well, it's the reason I did what I did, given players with those niggles that opportunity to rest, and having the depth and the ability, the class of a bloke like Michael Oldfield, Seb Chris, gave me that luxury.
Any of the younger forwards play their way on the bench, and Emre was pretty good as well
today.
I
was really happy with the minutes that both Emre and Corey provided, and their contribution. So I'll have a look at that now going into Tuesday to pick the team.
It's a double-edged sword. You give these guys a rest to get over there some of these niggles, and you lose, but if you win, it's seen as a positive move.
I'm happy with it. I wouldn't change it. If I was going into this game again next week, I'd do exactly the same thing. I asked a few other boys if they needed a rest, and they said no. Jack and Josh, both Joshes, so they decided to play. A couple of the other boys wanted to play, but I didn't want to risk their injury. And if I was going into this game again next week, I'd make the same decisions, because that team we put out there today was good enough to win.
They're all right for next week? They're all good though for next week, those 4 guys?
Which ones?
Jordan.
Oh, the blokes sitting out? Yeah, they're all available for selection.
Enjoying a bad lead fullback.
Obviously, the joke at the time, he's probably the only one who's still a bit of a question mark. He's closer to playing. That's
the only question mark. That's the only question mark. Taps's injury, so I'll wait and see.
A couple of tries they scored. I mean, defence has been so good all year, but there was a couple of lapses in defence. Is that probably also the biggest takeaway out of the game?
That's a big disappointment on how they scored. You know, we had a goal this year to be the number 1 defensive team in the competition, and we weren't. So we haven't achieved that. And I was disappointed with aspects of our play today, and not all just defence. There was a couple of times we let them off the hook with the football, and that's when we carried the ball. So we've still got room to improve. And I've got a young team there. That was a young football team put out there today in a number of positions, and they will definitely learn by that. And if I call upon them to go into a semi-final, they will be better off for playing there today and learning from what the scenario was.
Yes, are there any concerns around Hudson Young?
I've only briefly seen it again, Dave. I know he didn't gouge the kid, the young Pompey, is it? I know he didn't gouge him, but there was a hand on the face from what I see on the video, and it's again something I've got to look at again and get a clearer version of it. It reminds me of the Josh Maguire incidents where he got fined for whatever they call it on the face.
Have you had a word to him in the sheds, Ricky?
I asked him. I just went straight to him. I asked him if there was a gouge, and he said no, and he'd spoken to the other player. If it was an eye gouge, and look, I don't condone any of this. If it was an eye gouge though, the kid would rule out of that, and he didn't. I try and answer these as honestly as possible. If the hand was on the face, I don't know why. But he did go for the ball and come back, went off the ball, and come back in again, and then come back onto the face. So, look, I hope for the kid's sake that if it is anything, it's the same as what Josh Maguire copped. That's the twice he got the fine.
How was he, Rick? Like, was he nervous? Was he like just, frustrated that he put himself in that position, or?
I don't know, mate. As I say, I've asked him one question, and when he told me that, I was more comfortable with the fact that there wasn't a gouge. So,
Coming into this match, do you have a preference of whether you went to the SCG or Melbourne?
no, I didn't, Tim. I didn't. They're two of the heavyweight favourites for the competition. Whoever you play is going to be a tough game. I'm more disappointed with the way we played out there today than playing Melbourne or playing Roosters. They're two great football teams, and if we don't play our best in any semi-final now, and whether it's any of the bottom four teams, whether it's the top four teams, you're going to be at your best now. It's a completely different competition. I think you've probably seen a few games over the weekend so far. Looking at the top four teams, Souths have probably played the best football.
Okay.
All good.